Hello, you're watching TechWiseTV at Cisco Live here in sunny Orlando, Florida.
Well, I think we heard it best. We are TechWiseTV here in very sunny. That's why I'm indoors, Orlando. Jimmy Ray, what are you working on there? We're trying to get a show going.
What? Oh, I'm just trying to solve a networking problem right now.
Okay, you got to focus, man. We got a show to do. Are you on board or not?
Right. Yo, yeah. Let's do it. Yeah, man. I'm actually at the RMS security booth here, learning some pretty groovy stuff, man. These guys have it dialed in, man.
Well, let me ask you, because we got to decide exactly what direction to go, and we batted around a few ideas. Such a blessing, we get to do some live shows here from the show floor. This is one of our favorite reunion type things with all the geeks we get to reconnect with. How's that?
Yeah, it sounds good to me, man.
All right, we'll do that one. So, I tell you, the biggest thing that's been not bugging me, but interesting me, but I don't think that everybody's really clear on it, and I would like to get your perspective, but this whole notion of are we talking SDN, are we talking network programmability? Where does this stuff fit? I'm curious to get your perspective.
Well, you know, that's really a good question, because here's the thing. When it comes to SDN and having kind of an open network, it's kind of silly to talk about all this programmability and all this flexibility you have with the network and then only show your products working with it. What's that? That just political interoperability within inside the company. So to me, real honest to goodness SDN, real honest to goodness openness actually has a whole lot of different vendors, a really nice ecosystem of people interacting with your framework to provide a solution that honestly you don't have. And that to me is what it's really all about.
Well, that's a good point, and I'm actually going to test you on this one. Not that I don't trust your answer, but I know there's a whole lot more depth behind that as well. And since you're on the show floor, you look like you're pretty mobile. I know that they've got a lot of booths set up. There's a lot of opportunity to get hands-on, to ask questions, to see examples perhaps. Do you think you could dig up an example of something that you think would be of interest to our viewers in this area?
Are you kidding me? How much time do I have, man? I can actually get a whole bunch of stuff in here. We've got this place wired for sound when it comes to that. So, but there's a couple real standouts here when it comes to doing this stuff. So, I can grab Julie and Brian and we can zip off and go find some stuff for sure.
All right, I'll tell you what, we'll give you a few minutes to go find something, and I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest that I've got here on stage. So thank you, Jimmy Ray. We'll be back with you in just a second.
Groovy, brother.
Kumar Reddy. How you doing,
Rob.
sir?
Good to see you again.
So guys, I'll just tell the audience here real quick. Kumar, if you've watched the show on even an irregular basis, you probably recognize him. This is who we come to. We've talked IPv6 very recently. Very good show. I'm surprised at not surprised, but I'm pleased by all the feedback we're getting diving into that topic. And once again, the reason why I loved it was because it was educational, and it was a chance to update topics that we've come back and touched over time. And so this one I think makes a lot of sense because you were under the spotlight even last year, your whole team, talking about what do we mean, what's Cisco doing in this SDN space, to use the hyped terminology and such. But a lot has changed in the last 12 months, and it'll continue to change. But what I love about it is the maturity of the solution and the examples that we show. So we're well beyond vaporware. In Cisco, it's not a hype cycle, it's reality, and you've got partners and everything, but I want to hear from you. Help me understand us understand network programmability.
I think it's a great term that you're using, Rob, because when I think about sort of this change and disruption that's happening in networking, there's a lot of different concepts that are floating around. There's a lot of examples that people are using, and you think, well, what's different? What exactly is changing? And one of the core concepts, as you pointed out, is network programmability. So network programmability gives the ability to manage a device or control a device through software, right? There's a certain type of interface that we create that software can use easily. That's sort of a brief description of the thing. And if you look at how we're building the framework that Jimmy Ray talked about, we're layering. And at the bottom layer, in the devices in iOS, NXOS, XR, we have a programmability layer called 1PK. So this exposes all the functionality that we've put in our devices over the last 20, 25 years through interfaces, through APIs. And we have on top of that, let me just say, 1PK today is available, right? We've got it available across a bunch of different products. You can check out at the booth what they are. Now the next layer up is a controller, the XNC controller, also available today. And that presents a different set of interfaces upwards.
Okay, and so kind of the northbound interface or access. Okay.
Absolutely. And what's happening as you go up is you abstract. You have increasing abstraction as you go up the stack. Okay. So if you want to write an application, if you're a Cisco guy who wants to write an application, one of the partners that we have on the booth, for example, or a customer that wants to write an application, you're probably going to want to start with something that gives you an abstract view of a network and presents a set of interfaces that as a software engineer, you're comfortable with, you're used to working. RESTful interfaces, Java interfaces, that sort of thing.
What's interesting to me is the fact that it's very easy to say, to throw around terms like programmable networks, software-defined networks, and things like this, but until you force yourself to say, what does that mean? Because you can't just open it up, because that would be havoc. And it would destroy everything destroy the orchestrated universe that is so important to making sure our customer networks remain operational and up and are doing leveraging all the intelligence that we've built into them. So it's easy to say, but much more difficult to do, because as you mentioned, in the way you guys are obviously laying this out, is within the layers, the level of abstraction can change, because you've got to be very prescriptive about what you make available and then what can be done with it.
Yeah,
is that fair?
That's right. And what we're doing is we're providing different types of services that are programmable. So for example, at the networking layer, at the device layer, you can get in and look at the condition of the element itself, the device health, CPU, various environmental statistics. We have identity services. We have policy, so you can change the QoS. We have the ability to redirect traffic to go left or right. So it's a very functionally rich environment. That's the idea. And you can have a simpler view when you go up to the controller. And there you have a concept of a network. The controller does a lot of the magic, if you will, to make sure that you as an application engineer, you don't have to figure out what's on which device, what's going on where. The controller takes care of a lot of that for you, including managing the capabilities of the device.
Let me ask you, and I'll just test this out. This is always risky when I start jumping down too much technical routes, but sometimes it's fun for me to kind of throw something out. As I was talking to partners over there, and you've got examples in the booth about what can be done, one of the things that jumped out at me was this notion of, and this is my own words, and feel free to correct me if I'm getting it wrong, but this almost like redefining, the ability to redefine routing in certain instances, because traditionally we've done, okay, maybe it's, what's our least cost path, or different traditional routing mechanisms are very algorithm based and such. But with this level of intelligence and abstraction, you've now got partners that are saying, we can take this information and do a different level of intelligent traffic steering. Is that the right way to put it? Within the network? Am I getting that right? Is this an example of what we might see going forward?
Actually, it's a great example, and I'm not just saying that because you gave me a pen.
Okay.
But I'd like to thank you. And the reason routing is a great example is because routing still lets the device be intelligent, right? So we built all these really smart network devices over the years, and we want to add programmability as an additional interface, something that's additional. So if you want to change how traffic is forwarded to one path or another, you can compute that offline, right? Because you've got a traffic engineering scenario that you want to do. You've got some business logic, dollar cost, latency, whatever it may be, and then you can program the network with routing. You can inject routes into the routing table, so you still get the resiliency, the fallback, the convergence times that routing will give you if you want that. Right. So you can have a brain that's
almost a new level of redundancy behind the intelligence as well, an intelligent redundancy almost.
Yes.
Okay, you feel free to use that if you want.
I might pass on that, but it was great.
All right. I want to check back in with Jimmy Ray in just a second. So final words before we go back out of the show floor and see what kind of example he's come up with for us here.
Sure. I think my final word is, as a network engineer, what do I need to learn, right? Where do my skills need to go? Do I need to become a full-time programmer?
That's a great point.
And my sort of 2 cents on this is, no, we don't need to take network engineers and make them full-time programmers.
So it's not a job threat or necessarily something they need to look at, oh, I better get this skill set.
I view it as a skill set extension.
Yeah, that's
right?
always safe.
So if you know Perl, learn Python. If you don't know either, learn Python. We're going to have scriptable devices. I think increasingly as network engineers, you're going to be comfortable with scripting. But network engineers, CCIEs, we're going to keep it a long time.
Engineers are pretty comfortable, at least, because they're doing a lot of scripting to stay alive anyway.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing it.
Absolutely. Well, Kumar, I want to thank you for your time.
It was a
We'll
pleasure,
go back out and check with Jimmy Ray. Jimmy Ray, have you come up with anything, or you just been goofing off?
Man, are you kidding me? I found stories inside of stories. You never ask a code jockey to go out and do this stuff because we love our nested subroutines. So let me show you what I found. Of course, we got this really cool booth here, the Cisco One ecosystem. And you can see we got some big dogs here setting this up. We got SAP, we got Radware doing some really cool stuff. We got Citrix. And let me tell you the story inside the story. There's been a new standard that us and Citrix have just got into called Open Daylight. You've definitely got to go to the Cisco One website and read this. This is totally relaxed and groovy to the most maximum extent. I love it. I really need to dig into it a lot more. Don't know much about it because it's all minty fresh, so we need to really check this stuff out. Open Daylight is what I'm talking about. So let me walk on around here though, because look, man, my favorite part of writing code is actually the abstraction of it and really digging into the real meat and taters of it. So as we come on around here and stuff, we got some of our other partners here, and we've got the folks down here, they're doing the SDN analytics. We got the emergency response people down here who have a really cool story. Well, you guys know me. If you watch TechWiseTV, I'm all about the security and the beer. So I wanted to talk to Glue Networks. Now, checking out their website, do a little bit of digging on them and stuff, see if I can find some dirt, some of the stuff inquiry minds want to know. They're actually telling me that they can self-provision WAN networks and offer military-grade security. I got to come here. I'm like, yeah, you guys got to prove that to me, man. So, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, fantastic. How you doing?
Good to see you. So, what do you have here on Glue Networks? What are you guys all about?
All right, so Glue Networks is a policy-based cloud automation engine that allows you to turn on a wired area network in 15 minutes. And you literally can do everything, whether you're sitting here on an iPad, I can decide, all right, I want to create my network, set it all up, high availability, certificates, your security, and when you press create, it reaches out from the cloud to the devices around the planet, turns them on, and brings them your network in 15 minutes.
Let me see this. Get a shot of this, Julie. Check this out. Look how simple that interface is. Look at that. You can look how quick you can set this up. Really cool drop-down menus and stuff. This is happening, man. So now doing this, there's a couple things here. Automation scares me, man. I'm an engineer.
Yep.
I mean, we start making stuff kind of wizardy, and we're like, yeah, okay, I hear you. How do I know this is actually going to work,
So you absolutely know that it works because we base this on best practices from a design perspective. And I think the cool thing about this, in the past when you were setting up a LAN and setting up a WAN and a router, you're going to put a bunch of CLI scripts together, push them out, and do what we call boot and pray. You send it out, reboot the thing, hope it comes back up. With this solution, once you've configured it, it reaches out to that remote device and it builds it layer upon layer by layer, and it validates each step and each feature to make sure they're compatible with one another, so that when this thing comes up in 10 minutes, you know you're online, you know you're connected to your corporate network, you're getting dial tone if you're voice over IP and you got a phone tied into this thing, you're up and running. Makes it easy.
That is very, very cool. Now, but here's the thing. As we're starting to progress in technology, and we're sitting to pour out a whole lot of routers everywhere. Of course, our stockholders are happy. The sales reps are like, woohoo, give me some of that money. But the problem is that because they're valuable, they're actually being stolen all the time. I mean, there's a really nice black market out there for ripped off routers. Is there anything that you guys can do to protect this, man? Like a low jack or something for routers, if you will?
Absolutely. It's fantastic you say that. So we essentially created low jack for WAN and for routers. And with that, we're taking advantage of 1PK. So you've been hearing a lot about 1PK here at the conference.
Love me
Everybody's
some 1PK.
talking about it.
Woo!
So in the past, I used to have my Java developers would write the code, and then we'd have to translate it into CLI to talk to the boxes. Now with 1PK, we got 800 APIs that are being loaded onto the next version of iOS to be released on this. We've taken advantage of 3 of the APIs: topography, discovery, and my favorite, geolocation. So if you are a device like an 819, you've got 3G, 4G in a device and a GPS chip, that loads latitude and longitude into the API. When the software calls it, it tells it where's it at. If you've got a device that doesn't have GPS, then I essentially use IP in the POP and Google location to create an approximate that long and stick that in the device so I can handle both legacy devices as well as the new devices, all using 1PK. So I'll give you a quick example here.
Okay.
So up here on a demo, I can go use Discovery. I can pull up some routers that are configured. And so here's a router that's sitting in California right now. I'm going to simulate that router, and I'm reaching, this is in production in our system. I'm going to simulate that this router has been moved here to Orlando. We don't know if it was supposed to be moved or if somebody decided to fat finger it, pick it up, and carry it down here without authorization.
Sure.
And so what the engine is doing now is it's going out and it's pulsing, and it realizes, and here I just got a notification on my phone that a router's been moved. So we're told right here.
On his iPhone, he's doing all this stuff.
And as well, I'm told here, I'm just notified through the device that something's taken place. Now we'll go into the alert screen, and on the alert screen, the alert's saying, hey, wait a minute, there's a warning. Jeff Gray just moved his node. Now, the engine looks out for the engineer, and that's an important thing. You always want your engine and your engineer to work closely together.
Hey, that's what I'm talking about.
I'm going to go manage that node directly. The engine automatically pulled the certificate. It's no longer sitting on the network, but I can talk to it. And it's giving me information about where was it, where'd it go, what network was it sitting on, do I want to revoke it or allow it permanently? Now, some people are graphic, and they want to deal with this from a maps perspective. So I add that in for the people who are interested in graphics as well. Our product, before we added in 1PK, it had two states when you visualize things. Green meant router was up, red meant the router is down. I now have orange, the caution cone. We can go click on the caution cone, and the caution cone is telling us, hey, wait a minute, something's happened. This guy's router's moved. What do you want to do about it? Now, I may ask it, hey, where was it? Well, hey, it used to be in California, but now it's in Florida. What head end was it attached to through topology? Well, it's tied to something back in Sacramento. And then you got a simple question. Do I want to allow it, or do I want to revoke it permanently? So here's the fourth state. I revoke it permanently, and the engine creates skull and crossbones.
Nice.
That thing's off the network. Now, it's using tickle scripts to beacon back to our engine right now. So even though it's off the network, we're still tracking where that device is. And unless they go in and completely wipe it, we're essentially monitoring it every 5 minutes so you can go find your device, pick it up, and reclaim that router.
Man, that is what I'm talking about. Now that is very, very cool. You know, the best solutions out there are the ones that are the simplest and make the most sense, man. I think this is so cool. And very, very groovy. I'll tell you what, man, if you want more information on this, make sure, look how cool their pins are too, man. They're totally Big Lebowski looking, look like a bowling pin, right? If you really want some really cool information about a totally awesome product, go to Glue Networks. Their website's easy to read. They got great stuff on there, great information. And I didn't get your name. What is it again? I'm sorry, I'm so rude, man. My grandmother would kill me.
No worries, I'm Greg Wyant, I'm the VP of Engineering.
Greg, so I saw Jeff come up. I'm like, you're not Jeff, are you?
No.
But Greg says he highly recommends this product. And you know what? I say it's TechWiseTV approved.
So green is good, red is bad. Did I get that right?
Green is good, red is bad, orange is kind of like the cone of unknown.
Yeah, we're headed in a certain direction. Well, that was good, man. Thank you so much. Please send my congratulations his way. Let me ask you, Jimmy Ray,
All right.
and nice job on the dude reference. Hats off, we always got to work one in there somewhere. So, as an engineer, as you're looking out, I know you're tutoring a few guys or mentoring a few guys that are, and some of them have been showing up here on the floor, very smart kids. But as any engineer, whether you're a student or you're just looking at career pathing, we talked about this a little bit with Kumar. What's your opinion on what someone should be doing career-wise, what this represents for them?
Well, you know, that's a really good question because it's, you know, the realm of being an engineer is really getting a lot more vertical, if you will, because used to, you know, it was how well we could configure a device, how well that we could really, you know, get these certifications and stuff. That's still pretty important stuff. But to actually grow laterally, now one of the things that Glue Networks even says is that they bake a CCIE inside of the logic of their device and stuff. So understand what that means and stuff. If you're an engineer that is designing and kind of typing in commands and stuff, that's something that is getting more and more virtual out there, right? You kind of hear what I'm not saying. So I think it's important that all engineers understand code and understand how to expand open frameworks and stuff. We're talking about tickle scripts, we're talking about Perl. You know, those are really great languages that are very easy to learn, to set up and spend some time with and stuff. and I very highly recommend it. You know, especially if you're working with the Cisco One stuff, we've got a lot of fantastic tutorials that walk you through step by step on how to set up your first stop. I mean, I've been a big fan of it for years, and expanding the CLI, now you're looking at actually building out products that we don't have solutions to and really doing some amazing stuff here. And folks like Glue are a perfect example. And you know what? It's not just Glue, you know, I'm trying to kiss their tail or anything. You can actually walk down and see some of these other partners who are doing stuff with 911, who are doing stuff with SDN analytics. On the other side, the big dogs are doing a lot of other security monitoring. Man, the field is wide open. If you're an engineer and really want to shoot up the career path, understand programming, understand how you're interacting with the open side of the house and these frameworks and stuff, man, the sky's the limit, that's for darn sure.
You know, I looked over there, I really like the MDNS stuff and what we're doing with getting Apple's Bonjour across subnets. And
Isn't
what
that
that's
cool?
going to enable to do. Yeah, because that's needed. I need that. I need that personally.
Yeah.
You know, it's shutting down my Apple TV experience. But no, they're solving a lot of interesting problems and it's partners that are driving it. And anyway, hats off, nice interview. Thank you for that. I'm going to cut you loose because I got a surprise guest over here. So
Wow.
for the show, I know, you'll find out about it later, don't you worry. But thank you.
You got it, brother.
You good? All right, man, have fun. We'll talk to you later. Okay, so guys, I want to welcome James
Hey
Bedford.
Rob, how are you?
Thank you so much. Your accent, you're from somewhere else before I tell what you do.
I am British.
British.
I'm across the pond this
It automatically makes you sound smarter than me, and
Do
I
you
love
think?
it. I think so.
I'm not sure about that.
All right, guys. Well, what I want to tell you guys about and what James' role is new to our team. So this is somewhat of an announcement because we just don't always have a good vehicle to do this in. But we are resurrecting our TechWiseTV series, and James is our content producer and host of this series. He will be leading the charge, and so to our partners, to our reps, to anybody that's got a story that they think qualifies for not technically going to be something that TechWise may take on, there's a good chance that there may be a BizWise angle that you might want to pursue. What are your thoughts?
I think this is my 6th Cisco Live so far.
6.
I've been to 6
That's a hard
Cisco
word to say,
Lives. I'm 6th, I know, it's quite hard to get at actually. But what I love about Cisco Live is predominantly it's been for technical decision makers, as has TechWiseTV. But over the last few years, Cisco Live as an event has grown. We now have the IT management program, the executive symposium. So it's only natural that we now create a TV show, a series for our business decision makers, our IT managers and directors and above. So what's going to be really exciting about BizWiseTV is the ability to go and interview our partners and our customers about business transformation and find out how they've transformed their business through the use of technology, because we know, right, that technology is an enabler of change, and that's really exciting.
You know, we only got 1 minute left, but let me just ask you, because here's my main concern, and granted, we'll be working closely together on this, but I'm not interested, quite frankly, in business stories that are about what could happen. Are we on the same page with that?
We're going to be looking at stories that have happened.
Have happened. Okay,
Have
I'm glad to
happened,
hear that.
Definitely have happened.
All right.
So we're going to be speaking to customers about what they have implemented. So what was the problem? Why was it a problem for the organization? And how did they overcome that through the use of technology? So some exciting case
I
studies
like
coming
that.
up
That's
on
the way to do
BizWiseTV.
it. So there's always a tie-in, there's something actionable we can do,
Indeed,
and the
yeah.
proof is in that pudding.
Yeah,
Ooh,
indeed.
that kind of
Whoa.
plays to the whole British thing.
It does indeed,
Somewhere
doesn't it?
maybe, says the American, says the Texan who hardly gets out of the house. Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward
Thank
to doing
you,
a
Rob.
lot of very interesting stuff with you.
Indeed, thank you
And
so
guys,
much.
thank you for watching another edition episode live here from TechWiseTV live from Cisco Live here in sunny, hot Orlando. Thank you to Jimmy Ray and our guest from Glue Networks, Kumar Reddy, for joining us here to explain how everything works as we continue to break down the technology storylines. We're going to do this again tomorrow, by the way, so I hope you tune back in. And of course, I've had the pleasure of hosting Backstage Pass, which is bringing all kinds of storylines your direction. That also will happen again tomorrow. Tonight's the big night here if you're here locally. This is the big party at Universal Studios, so come say hi. We'll see you over there. Hope you enjoyed the show. Keep tweeting, keep sending us your ideas. Thank you to all the crew behind the scenes for doing everything that you do and making us look good. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.